Underrated lady.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Underrated lady.
Young, black, and gifted. We do it for the culture.
This is the Young Black and Gifted podcast, and I'm back. Listen, I got Kev Williams, aka Coach Kev,
Coach
here with
Kev.
me, man. We just got finished doing a small little project, so by the time you get to this, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I'm gonna release this first or the other thing that we had going on. But listen, we gonna get into that, man. But I got Coach Kev here with me today, man. Kev, Kev is one of those guys from the beginning stages of us doing the Young Black and Gifted podcast. He was probably one of the first supporters.
I love it,
One
man.
of the first people I reached out to just to be able to have as a guest on the show. So we finally got the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation. And like I said, we gonna get to that. So listen, Kev, I got you here, right? So I want to talk a little bit more about you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that you've contributed, even just what we just got finished doing over the last hour or so. You've contributed a lot to the community. You know, you've done a lot for these schools. You know, and I just kind of like want to shed light on it, and I just want to get into like how it all started with
Okay.
you. Like before we even press record on this segment right here. You talked to me about you just showed me a few of your clips from you being a player, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk. We could start there. Let's start with you being a player, man.
Okay.
How did it all start for you, man?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Obviously we from the same neighborhood, from Darby, Yate, and Lansdowne, from that Penwood community. I started playing football probably when I was like 10 years old. Organized football. I played for the 69th Street Wildcats.
Okay.
I played 1 year there, but I
Yeah.
couldn't, play any more years because my parents were just kind of, butting heads. Who gonna pay for what? Just being completely transparent on some stuff like that. So I didn't play again until like middle school, till like Penwood West, Kramer ball. So I played there 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Okay.
And to be quite honest, I didn't grow into my skill set until like high school. I showed you my pictures,
Yes,
like
sir.
my cover pictures and stuff like that. But to be honest, I wasn't really a hitter. Like I used to see dudes in middle school smoke. Chai, rest in peace, Chai.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to
Yeah,
Chai.
rest in peace, Chai.
Like
Yeah.
Mark Nelson, Twan,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Martell Gaines, and all them. Like them dudes was hitting,
Yup.
and they was in practice just
Shout out to Martell. Yeah.
Tell that's my old heads.
Yeah.
Like they were hitting dudes like, and I was skinny. I was kind of timid, and I didn't grow into myself. I kind of was a late bloomer. Got to high school. It was a little bit more the same, but I started growing into my body. My arms started getting longer. Muscle mass started getting there. And by the time like I got to 11th grade, I seen a lot of my homies starting. Like Cam was starting, Rudy was starting quarterback at our sophomore year.
Yes, sir.
Shamar was
receiver.
He was 6'4". He was 6'4" when we was like 11. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. You had like Daryl Blunt, Gary G. They was all like 6'4", 290 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm just coming into my own. So I started lifting, being more aggressive and being more assertive. And I came into a starting spot. I think we was in practice one time, we doing bull in the ring. And I'm gonna leave this player's name out. But I knocked his helmet off. And coach was like, "Oh yeah, Williams came to play this year. Oh, we found a spot for him."
Yeah.
I'm like 5'11", $165. He like put me a middle linebacker. I'm like,
What grade was this?
This is 11th grade. I wasn't ready for that. Middle linebacker. So I played middle linebacker a little bit. It was tough, but then I transitioned to outside linebacker. And then senior year, I was kind of like a Jabril Peppers on defense.
Okay.
Like they played me in every different position. I played a little outside linebacker, a little safety, a little bit of DN, a little bit of middle linebacker. I called the plays for the defense. So like I did it from various platforms. So one of the things I prided myself on was being a smart player and knowing everybody else's position. So I went on to play at Kutztown University for like a season. I left because I wanted to make sure my academic scholarship stayed intact.
Yes, sir.
So, I really didn't play that much football throughout my life.
So
I
talk
played
to me
7
about
years.
the baseball aspect of things for you, man. Because here on the Young Black and Gifted, we are baseball fans
absolutely.
here, and I think is one of those is a lost art in our community. Is not one of the when we came up, it was glorified.
Yeah.
A lot of people played it, but it just seemed like it's kind of like lost its way. I know it's still around, but it's not as we've talked about a few things, like some of the things that I would like to do within the community as far as the game of baseball. But talk to me a little bit about your experiences.
So
with
before
baseball.
I go, shout out to Alden Colonials T-ball. That's my T-ball team. My son playing T-ball. RJ, Bryson, all my little guys and little girls on my T-ball team. They're learning. I love them so much.
Okay.
And they're doing a great job. But I started playing baseball when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
So that was the first sport I learned how to play. In fact, it was an accident. My grandma was like, "Oh, they're signed up for basketball." Now, I was hyped. It was like 1995.
Basketball.
And it's basketball, baseball different. It's a couple letters different. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, my mommy can't read. So I ended up getting signed up for baseball. And it actually became a good decision.
Okay.
I played baseball maybe like 4 years in my youth, and I played 1 year in middle school. So I stopped playing baseball in middle school because I started getting made fun of. So
I'm glad you inserted that into the conversation.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit.
Yeah,
about
so I started
that.
getting made fun of because a lot of folks, you know, it was like, "Oh, you play a white boy sport." White boy sport.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was actually pretty good, and that actually kind of stunted my growth in baseball. Baseball is one of those things you gotta play. Practice is good, but it's scenarios in baseball that you need to know.
Be familiar with.
Yeah, you need to know where to throw the cutoff man. You need to know where to position yourself on a double cut, or even like, what do you do when someone's on a certain base and you got to hit? Or you got to know your signals and signs, like the hit and run zone. You don't want to miss that. So it's like different things like that. You got to know the intricacies, and you only get that by playing in the game. So I missed 2 years of that. I didn't play in 8th grade. I didn't play in 9th grade. But a gym teacher you probably know, Mr. Curley. Mr. Curley was the head coach at a high school at Penwood High School. He's like, "Kev, you got to play. You got to play. When you get to high school, you got to play." So I made the promise to him. I went up there and I played varsity. I didn't get much time my sophomore year.
Okay.
I was like a pinch runner. You know, I got my first hit at the end of the year. But junior and senior year, I started center field. I started off as a leadoff hitter, Kenny Lofton style. And then my batting average went down. And then I got back up my senior year. I was probably like, I want to say I batted like 6, but I was more of like a power hitter.
Okay.
But I played baseball, you know, throughout high school. It was a good time. Made some good friends, and it's just a great experience.
So before we move on any further, I got 2 things I want to talk to before we move forward. First thing I want to ask you about is like that experience there when you said like dealing with, he's playing like the white. Like, how was that for you? Like, how did it? And what age? Give me an idea around what age that was.
That was middle school. So you know middle schoolers like 12 to 14. They're a bit rough.
Yeah.
You know, and we know, like, because I was an asshole. You know, we both did our thing. We said little things to people and stuff like that. But it was one of those things that I was really like trying to be cool and trying to fit in with people, which is the thing that gets a lot of kids.
Yes.
And ultimately, it didn't help me. I should have probably stayed with it and played throughout middle school because I could have been probably a better player. But nonetheless, those are experiences I went through, so I can encourage other kids that I coach that, hey, it doesn't matter what somebody says about you. You play the sport that makes you best. You play the sport that you want to play. And like, honestly, if they had it at Penwood when I was in high school, I'd have played lacrosse. Like I kind of was like on some stuff like I want to try something different that fit my skill set. I wasn't a hooper. Like, I used to go down Walnut and play with y'all and stuff like that, go to Front Street. But I was one and done. I got one run and I was out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't getting picked up. Like, real rap. Like, on some serious stuff. Like, even in middle school, when y'all played on the teams and stuff like that, I got cut every time. So I had to find my lane.
Well, you was the manager.
I was the manager
on the team.
So, so look, the only reason I was the manager, Mr. King, because I was
that was my man. Shout out Mr. King, wherever he had around.
I was a good student. Plus, all my homies was on the team. Y'all were always my homies. I was hoping that y'all was ineligible so I could suit up one day. that's the real deal. Like,
what did these dudes? Somebody gonna be ineligible. Somebody get filled.
They ain't never happened. Listen. I think after the progress reports, everybody was ineligible, and y'all played like 6 people. He still didn't suit me up. I was like, damn. So you know what? I let my hoop dreams deflate like a true featherweight. Like I'm done.
That's funny that you bring up Mr. King. So Kev was a part of that team. I talk about with Keith. I talk about on our last interview. I speak about Keith. Shout out to Keith
could hoop too. Shout out to Keith Dave.
Yeah, I talk about that. That was that team right there, our 8th grade team. So I just want to share this story with you. Like, one of the times I encountered the similar thing. Like, so first thing, when I first came into baseball was around the same age, about 7 or 8. My story was about coming into baseball, and I probably got introduced to it around the same time, around 7. And I was playing basketball at that point, but I wasn't. They I was about 8 at the time, and I was on like the 10 and under basketball team, and they had ringers, so we 10 and under, but we got 12-year-olds playing with. So I'm not getting no tick, but my team winning, but I'm not getting any clock. So shout out to my neighbor at the time. She had her sons involved in baseball right over here on Cobbs Creek, right off of what's that, like 62nd in Baltimore, like in that area right there. So my initial thing was the same thing, like, I don't want to play baseball, don't know. So white boys, like, that was my mentality at the time, right? But, my mom said, we're going to get you into this. You'll probably, give it a try. You'll like it. And, without getting too deep into the stories that my experiences, it was probably one of the best things that I could have ever done at that point in time in my life. So, just that, I think that's one of those sports, even with the experiences I had of it. So because of where we come from the city, we don't see too much of it. It's not glorified as the basketball and then football. Baseball, maybe a little bit. Like, I think we caught a good wave of that, where we were able to get some of the whereas though baseball was popular somewhat. But I want to talk about this too. It's kind of like in the same realm. High school got into it with one of your football. You mentioned him, but I'm not, just to keep it clean here. I'm not gonna mention who he is. But he was bigger than everybody. You might have weighed him in at about like 6'4", 200 and something pounds, right? But my heart, I was fearless. Although physically he could have probably taken me out, but my heart didn't allow me to be scared of that, right? And whoever the wrestling coach was, do you remember who the wrestling coach?
Madonna.
And was he short? Was he short, kind of stocky?
I thought at the time it might have been Madonna, Italian bull.
Okay,
it might have been someone else.
He might have. He could have, whether he was the head coach of the wrestling team or not, or if he was I don't know who this guy, but this guy I'm thinking of, he was a little older, kind of short.
I might have got it wrong.
But nonetheless, he come to me like probably like a little bit later, like I was at lunch or something. He said, I saw you in the hallway. I saw you with that aggression. Why don't you come out for the wrestling team? The first thing I thought was never with the tights on. Not
freak ball. Freak ball.
The first thing that goes to my mind, right?
Yeah.
But that ignorance. So you pinpointed something. I just kind of like wanted to speak on that too. My homies had never let me lay that down. Being on a wrestling team, but like you said, if they would have had lacrosse, what was it, lacrosse? You said, right? That's something that you would have tried out for. So what would you accredit that to? Like that mentality. Obviously, our surroundings are, that mentality that we tend to have as young men or adolescents.
So unfortunately, we are creatures of our environment. So like you think back on it, like my dad never played like lacrosse or anything like that. Like he was a basketball player. Like my uncles played basketball, they played football, they slap box in the street. Like that's the stuff that we was exposed to. So you don't know what you don't know. So now you have programs and you have different people that are willing to go outside the box, and they are willing to like, hey, like you want to try this, you want to try this. Like I think there's a program in Wilmington or Delaware. My wife's nephew, he was a part of it. It's called Black Lax. Like it's black lacrosse. Like, and they actually teach you how to play lacrosse. And it's at a high level where you can get a scholarship. You don't necessarily have to get a scholarship for basketball, football. Like you got to diversify. Like make yourself as unique as possible, because ultimately there's always gonna be another one of you. Like as far as athletically, those scholarships, they come far and few between. But then once you get hurt or someone is better than you, you are going right down on the list. You're going right down on the depth chart. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it's a great thing. I think definitely expanding our horizons, especially in the area of athletics. That's why, like for me, baseball is such a big thing, because it's people might look at the game of baseball, might think that is boring, it's simple, but it's like you said, it's a lot to that.
It's a thinking man sport. It's a thinking man sport. That's why you see like Albert Pujols, 45 years old, because it does require a physical essence to it, but at the same time, it's a lot of different things. You got to learn how to utilize your bat. You can't just swing for the fences. You got to hit open field. You got to make sure you get people, sacrifice flies, make sure people move up, stuff like that. It's different things that go into the game, and it's like, even with football is a thinking man sport. It's a barbaric sport, but it is thinking man sport. And we'll talk about it more as we go into the talk, but like it's a lot that goes into sports in general. It's just not the physical essence.
Okay, so you brought up football. So let's, we right now we shouted out the T-ball team. We know that you
shout out
the
all
T-ball
the
team. but I want to get more into your football coaching career. Talk to me a little bit about, just for the people that don't know. We can start with your career, where and how it
Okay.
started. Let's hear some of that.
Yeah, so I started coaching at Darby Township Eagles. Shout out to State Ann and Coach Mitch down there. Some of my coaching mentors and great friends. They both were a part of my church, and they saw me as I was like maybe, I want to say like 24, 25, and I didn't have much to do. I was in my apartment, going home, chilling, working and stuff like that. And they're like, Kev, you ain't doing nothing. You need to come down there. So I took them up on it. Went down there and coached their 120-pound team, which was probably like the 10, 11-year-olds.
Okay.
The first year, I worked on the special teams, and I kind of helped out on defense. The second year, the defensive coordinator from last year, he passed away, like in the off season. So we were kind of pressed into finding someone that can call a defense. Never called a defense, but I know the game. I've been a student of the game. I played the game. I'm one of those folks, and if you talk to anyone that knows me, like as far as football wise from our history, they probably say Kev is one of those dudes that thinks the game through as opposed to like playing it. So I took pride in that. So I coached down there. We got to the championship of the Burt Bell League. We played against Downingtown. Downingtown has amazing programs. They have world-class facilities, amazing programs. They have kids for days. They have an A, B, and C team. And we at Darby Township, we had maybe 20 kids. And we just had to try to do our best. We lost by a score. And so my plan was to come back the next year, work with another group of kids. But at the time,
what year was this?
This was like 2013, 2014.
Okay, so I just want to give our listeners, our viewers, a timeline.
Yeah, 2013, 2014.
Okay.
So in that off season, Penwood was looking for coaches. A new head coach came to Penwood. His name was Nick Lincoln, good friend of mine. He came from Emotep. He was the quarterbacks coach there and offensive coordinator there.
Okay.
Took the job at Penwood like in April of 2014, which is basically late. That's late as ever because the season starts in August. Reached out to somebody at Darby Township. They put me down. I'm at Penwood now, coaching defensive backs. Our first year, we stunk. We lost every game emphatically.
Penwood?
Yeah, my first year. But we were trying to build a program.
Yeah.
The second year we won, I think, like 2 games. We had phenomenal running back Tavon Ruley. Shout out to Tay.
Shout out to Tay, yeah.
Shout out to Tay, one of the greatest players that I've coached, one of the greatest people I've got to coach.
That's fire.
He finished up his career at Temple.
Yes.
So we had him, Jordan Johnson, who went to Eastern Carolina. We had a few guys.
Okay.
So we went like 2-10 or something like that, 3-9, something like that. But we're building.
Yes, sir.
Played a lot of young guys. Played a lot of freshmen. That first year we went 0-11, and that next year. So those kids are getting experience. The third year, we turned it around. Start the season 6-0. Start running through things. But we run into Academy Park. They kicked our mouth in.
Is that would you say AP in terms of football? I know basketball might be a little different. Would you say that that's your biggest rival? Or what? That's Penwood's biggest rival? Would you say AP?
I mean, at the time, I would say that was our biggest rival. Yeah. But knowing them, and I got a lot of friends that's from AP, they probably say, in order for it to be a rivalry, it has to go back and forth. They owned us for like 8 years. They had us for like 8 years. Like, so they kicked us in our mouths that year, but we made the playoffs that year.
I know that. So I'll say this is one of the things I remember kind of like when we were in high school and even like a little bit before and after that. You've seen a lot of guys bouncing between, you know what I mean? Yeah.
A lot of people was going back and forth. Somebody cousin live in Township, now they back in Darby. Like it's like I'm gonna keep it a buck. My wife is from Darby Township. I knew nothing about Sharon Hill or Darby Township. My family's from Philly.
Yeah.
So I didn't know much about the county. Like I was like, oh, I thought Academy Park was 15 miles away. That was right around the corner.
Right there, yeah.
So that was a whole different world to me. I was unbeknownst to. So but that third season, like I said, Academy Park kicked us in our mouth. And but we still kind of was making progress. We sent kids to school and we were making those steps forward. I think we finished the season like 7-3. Okay. Made the first playoff game since 2009, 2010.
And what year? So this is about 17?
That's 16, 16.
I think that's around that time when, as you guys were picking up, is when I kind of like got hip to your coaching.
Yeah. So in that year, in 16, I actually moved from defense to offense.
Okay.
While I was doing defense, while I was a defensive back, the first 2 years I was doing special teams. Coach was getting confidence in me. My kids are starting to return kicks. We covering the stuff. Everything I'm doing is working. So he's like, all right, let me move you to the offense. You have a sharp mind. You can pick it up. You see the game differently. 16, he makes me, I'm up in the booth giving him suggestions and stuff like that. So this is when things change. The summer, not even the summer of 16, the summer of 17. February 2017, we're getting prepared to go to the next season.
Okay.
Nick leaves and goes to Imhotep.
He goes back?
Goes back to Imhotep to be the head coach.
I knew it was an upgrade. It would have had to be.
Yeah. So I'm sure football guys in Philly know Albie Crosby, coaching legend, left Tep, and I think he took a job at Newman Goretti or something like that. So Nick, I mean, it's Imhotep. They have blue chip, prospects all around. So we were kind of left like with our ass out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the only coach left. I'm trying to hold things together. I'm coming up with workouts. Kids talking about they transferring and stuff like that. Like a lot of kids talking about they transferring. I interviewed for the job. It just wasn't a fit at the time because I'm not a teacher. So it was one of those things like I probably could have did it. I think I could have did. I know I could have did it at a high level. Yeah. But it was one of those things like, it's not going to align with my life. I just got married. I'm planning on having a family. So I'm like, you know what? I'm cool in the capacity that I'm in. So they brought in a new head coach who was actually the defensive coordinator that last year in 2016. Okay. And I was the associate head coach and offensive coordinator. We run it up. Like the first 2 games this season we lost, like emphatically. But then after that, we went on a 9-game winning streak. Shout out to Desmond Johnson Jr., record-setting quarterback.
Okay, so now you piecing the timeline together.
I'm with Desmond Johnson Jr., Kennedy Poles, Cowin Legends, Raheem Bowens, 69th Street Wildcat legend from Yaden, David and Dobby Rush, the twins. David's at Westchester, Raheem's at Westchester. Like we had a lot of dudes that we kept. The thing is, we did. And the thing that we learned from Nick Lincoln was you got to go down to that middle school, find out that pipeline, and keep your kids because those private schools were coming. So we made the playoffs that 2017 year, set a lot of passing records, a lot of offensive records. I had to step away because I got a new job. Okay. I still kind of had my fingers in the program, but I wasn't a coach. I would be at games and stuff like that. If they needed something from me, we were there. Yeah. But that 2018 year, a lot of that groundwork stuff that we put in 2017, defense was there, offense was there. It just took off, and that was the year they went up. So even though I wasn't coaching, a lot of the fingerprints might have been there, and I still was like a friend of the program, so to speak. So it was one of those things.
So how you just laid it out is how I seen it. I saw like you, and you just laid it out for us that you said the year that you wound up having to step away, it went up, but you were there you were in the mud. You were helping to build it up.
You gotta go through the mud to get to the.
So how did that make you feel, like being a part of that process and then seeing the outcome?
I was happy because ultimately it's about kids. Yes. Like, and plus, like for me, like I when I went back to Penwood, I was like, it's home. It's a place where I'm comfortable at. The kids, the teachers, the program, the dirt track at Kerr Field. They're getting a new field.
That's something that we talked about.
The dirt track at Kerr Field, the lights being brought in. They brought lights in. Like we did something that the community has never seen, and that's what you do it for. I came in with a chip on my shoulder. Like my senior year, we went 1-11. My junior year, we went 2-10. Like I didn't play winning Penwood football. I feel like we could have played winning Penwood football. Maybe if we had some coaches that cared about us as much as we cared about. That I care about my kids that I coach, but that's nor here nor there. But nonetheless, I wanted to do something not just for myself on some selfish stuff, but for the people that I played with, the legacy Penwood folk, the folks that I call my brothers, that we go back in the trenches from when we were playing and practicing and stuff like that. So what I was doing, I tapped into life energy. I was spending time, watching film and all that stuff. It was all about that, and it was all about everyone in the past and trying to galvanize the community to be something better. So
that's fine. So you getting some feedback? I don't know why that's the thing. It's that one. Okay. Y'all gonna hate me for this one, y'all. Y'all gonna hear like he having all types of problems. All right, so my fault. So 2018 we leave Penwood. Yeah. So was that the end of your football coaching career? Did we end up going anywhere else to coach?
So I spent like a month at Imhotep. I went up there with Nick Lincoln, to coach wide receivers. Commute wise, it didn't work out for me. I'm gonna be quite honest. Also, it just wasn't a good fit for me in general. Okay. I didn't want to feel like I was chasing talent and stuff like that. sometimes, programs like that are for people that want to do that. Not saying that everybody there is chasing talent, but it's for people, like I'm not a city guy. So sometimes I can't connect with those folks the way that they do. I'm from the county. Kids from the county, albeit they may be moving from the city into the county, I have a vested interest in seeing how we do things out here.
Yes, sir.
Like I'm going to maintain the integrity of what we have going on out here, and that's what I want to do. So I ended up stepping away. No love lost. They're still, huge friends of mine.
Okay.
Nick he's no longer there, but the head coach Dev Johnson, like good friend of mine.
Okay.
So fast forward 2019, 2020, I try to get back into coaching. So I go down to Roman Catholic, which was head coach Rick Preet, good guy. He was actually at MOTEP, the wide receivers coach there. And I was coming to MOTEP to replace him. So that was ironic. And I ended up following him at Roman Catholic.
Okay.
So Roman, I feel like it could have been a beautiful thing for me. Like I just literally, like the kids were great. The program was supported. They were getting the right amount of talent in. I enjoyed it. I was learning. I was able to share my opinion, and it was being like conveyed and carried out. Then life happens. I get offered a job, and the pandemic hits. I had to take the job because the job obviously was, something, it kind of led me to where I am now.
Yes, sir.
But then also the pandemic hit and kind of was like, everything's on pause. So right now I'm not coaching. I don't know if I'll probably coach at a higher level. As I mentioned before, my son's 5 years old. I'm worried about like making sure he's the best version of himself.
That's fine.
Whether it be he be playing football or whether he's continuing piano lessons or whether he wants to do something totally different. So I'm just supporting him right now. So I don't necessarily know if I'll ever get that competitive with high school, football, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. So I like it, man. So I just want to give you your flowers again. I'm a fan. Again, like I said, if for nothing else, for what you did concerning that Penwood football program, just being a part of the your alum. You went to school there. You went through you told us the whole story. You're telling us everything here. You went through the struggle within your personal career there. You went through the struggle as coaching, and then they've gotten to a point where they're, even if you weren't there, but you helped push those kids into that direction. So I always want to make sure that I give you your flowers for that, and just for your contributions for everything else that you do. So you just spoke about being a father, right? I know that's very important to you too. So one of these things, this is something that we talked about a few weeks ago on social media. Let's get into it. Ja Morant. Let's hear it, Coach Kev. You get some issues again? I don't know why. We need a new one of these, huh? We need a new one of these. All right. So let's talk about the Ja Morant ordeal.
Man.
First off, let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on just the Ja and as a player, as a young man, and maybe one of the new faces of the NBA?
Ja is a phenomenal talent. He has everything you want as an athlete. He has the aesthetic, he has the athletic skills to back up, and he has the marketability. But the thing that's like disconnecting is his social life. And that's what's kind of like hindering him. Like you mentioned, fatherhood and parenting, it's kind of like one of those things like Ja's like 22 years old, 23 years old, whatever.
Fairly young.
Fairly young. So when your kid moves to a certain stage in life, your parenting changes. And you go from being the authoritarian to being more of a consultant.
Yes, sir.
Because consultant stuff, you can turn stuff away. But I grew up in a household where as though you train up a child in a way which they won't depart. So those things are like, and that's biblical. Those are things that like should be deep rooted in that person. So it kind of makes me question, how was he raised? Because if he was raised as a good, wholesome young man, how is he departing so far? And that's not to say that people can't change and people can't go people can just go off the rails, but it just makes me question. And I look at it like this: for all the flack that what's my man LeVar Ball get, all three of LeVar Ball's kids played in the NBA or some form of professional basketball associated with the NBA, and all three of his kids never had anything negative going on. Now LeVar could be an asshole at times, but his story and his success is proven. Now, I feel like a guy like T. Morant, and I don't know him, and I don't want to like throw any stones because I'm a parent as well, and I'm sure I have holes in my parenting.
Yes, sir.
At this juncture, when your child he still his child. I don't care how old he is, he's still his child. Like, it's just, like I said, he changed in phases. Your child has the opportunity to change generations. Like, he has the opportunity to have a lifetime Nike contract. He has the opportunity to get more money playing basketball than people ever dream of. That's one of those things you pulling like, yo, son, listen. Like, you want to be NBA YoungBoy, like do that after year 5, after you secure the guaranteed contract. Like, at least have the understanding to not jeopardize the well-being of your family. And that's the thing, that's the disconnect that Ja's having. And it's kind of like disheartening. Now, I'm completely understanding of like the mental health aspect of life. And he might be going through some things, but at the same time, like, you gotta understand that like when you in that magnitude, certain things are bigger than you.
Yeah, I would agree. And I get what you say about, you know, the parenting aspect too. Like, after a certain age, even with that conversation, right? And the way you broke it down was on point. So even when you talk about like how you raise your child up in a way that they don't put away from, right? Even with that idea, even if that's not the thing, just being able to have that conversation with your son, you know, I think that what we see here with Ja, you know, and again, not to throw, because me too, as a parent, I may have holes in my parenting too, but that's definitely a situation that Ja himself, if he doesn't understand, the people around him should be understanding. They should, like you said, having that, pulling them to the side. Do you know what's going on here? Do you fully understand, son? If you don't, let me help you understand. You know what I mean? But even in that, I understand that even in that conversation, once you part ways from that conversation, it's solely up to Ja.
It's up to him. Like you said, like you transition from being an authoritarian to being a consultant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, it's like,
yeah. So it's like you said, it's definitely disheartening. I'll say on a lighter note, I'll say about Ja, he's probably one of those guys. So for me, the faces of the NBA have been, for me, and you can argue this if you want to, right? But for me, at first it was Jason Tatum. You know, his rookie season in those Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron and them. And you know, the team, even now, you know, we'll see how this plays out with them in the Heat. But even now, he has what, 5-6 years in the league, 5 Eastern Conference appearances, you know, and then right after him it was Ja. So I'm like, these guys are the faces, the new faces of the NBA. So once Ja got into the league, and now think about Ja too, man. It may not, I think that let's say he did plan on going to the NBA, but I don't think the path was so as clear for him for as long as it probably. I think it just happened. I think it happened from the what was it? The
he went to Murray State.
That's what
he went to Murray. I don't even know where Murray State is. Like, he went to Murray State, bro.
It was that,
like, Tatum been playing. His pop played like high level basketball.
Yes, sir.
So Tatum was born to do this. Not to say Ja wasn't, but like, sometimes people hit that freakish growth spurt,
Yes, sir.
and they start dunking on people,
Yes,
and now they're undeniable.
Yes, sir.
Even at Murray State, or even where did Dame Lillard go? Sacramento State or something like that.
Somewhere out there in
Portland State.
around where he had.
But like it's one of those things like where you're just undeniable regardless where you are.
He hit that. He got into that tournament.
Yeah.
Few highlight dunks, and then he woke the world up. So you got to figure maybe before then it might not have been so clear. Like, I'm going to the NBA.
Yeah.
It makes me think about, just in terms of like path and ability. It makes me think about this young guy. Let's see if you're familiar with him. I think it's Imani
Bates. Yep.
Right. So his path, you know, he went to
Memphis.
And
then he went to Western or Central Michigan.
Yes. Yes. He was there playing this year, and Central Michigan is what are they? 2, 3?
No, they D1, but they mid-major though.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah. But even with going to on that level, going to a smarter school, he still got the recognition that he needed. And you know, I just seen him the other day. They were just, which I've never really seen before, but they doing like the NBA scrimmages with the potential. Like, they got the combine, but they're running scrimmages.
Yeah.
But I think for Ja, I just think that it happened way too fast.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, like, you know, when you get into that life, You just got to make sure you have the foundational pieces
Yes, sir.
in place. And it's
sir.
hard to do that. Like, that's why LeBron is lauded, because he has his team in place and they've grown with him. Like Mav, like Rich Paul,
Yes,
like
sir.
they all have a place and they've all grown, and they have an ideal mind that LeBron is the cash cow. We got to protect him at
Yes,
all
sir.
costs.
Yes, sir.
And that's how they got to protect Ja.
Yes.
Like, I want to see him win. Ultimately,
Absolutely.
I want to see all of them win, because I'm going to hit you with this real quick. Like you said, Tatum, Ja, we need homegrown talent to be the face of the NBA. Not to say that Jokic and Luka and Giannis aren't great. They are great. But we haven't had an MVP that was American made, like a US like born MVP in some time. And it's like the game is going international, which is great.
Yes.
Monetarily, and because the game deserves to go that way. I love seeing kids playing in Senegal and Cameroon. What like Luke Baamute did with Embiid. He brought him to a camp and he made him like who he is and introduced him to the game. But at the same time, it's like the essence of the game. Like, what are we gonna do to change our game? They're getting better fundamentally, and they play the game so much faster and so much different than us. And we still like we still stuck in N1 mixtape.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like AAU is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know? So like I kind of felt like this would be our opportunity to kind of like stamp our next generation of American talent.
When you speak about AAU, I had to. So again, I realized that maybe I have a basketball mind. I understand the game, but when you talk about AAU, a lot of those highlights that we see on social media, we good, all right. They're AAU highlights, so the competition the defensive competition might not be there. So for like a Mikey, with Mikey Williams, so you see his highlights, but I'm like, how is he ranked 30th? Have you seen his highlights? But because he's not playing against anybody, he hasn't played against the top.
And you know what else? Because they're showing highlights.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And I'm going to transition like a little bit. That's what we get into the social media thing. All we see is the highlights of people's lives.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
start cooking.
Like you start seeing highlights of people. Like you go on Instagram, you see a reel for a minute. That's the best minute they might have that day. They might go back to being the worst person in the world.
Yes, sir.
Or like you see Mikey might drop 50 on, Team Express from Wichita, Kansas. But then if he go up against Carmelo's AAU team, might get cooked because he got all D1. He might got Carlos Boozer's kids on there or something like that. So it's like one of those things like, show me it all. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate.
That's fire. That's fire. I like that. So again, so you walking us right down this thing. You speaking about social media. Like, how do you feel? Like, what do you feel like social media has? Like, what do you think the effect? What do you feel about the effect has been? Social media has had on our people in our community. Like, has it? What's your input on that?
So we're already, and I'm an African American man. I'm a black man, proud black man. But it has a grasp on our community like none other. Like it's hit us like crack in the 80s because like we just want to show, and we're proud of what we get, and that's the main thing. Like people want to show what they got and be proud in X, Y, and Z. But then it's like now it's like what's next? What's next? What next? What next? Like, oh, I need to get this. I need to get this. I need to get this. I need to show this. And it's like, why? For what? Because like you want to get likes, you want to get people viewing your stuff, and it's unfortunate because there's good aspects of social media. Like I like to think that I utilize it for the right ways. I try not to post like every little move. Like I post my son. I post stuff that I'm proud about or informative stuff that I try to like convey to folks. But then you have people that's just like, let me post this rollie real quick. Let me show these how I'm doing.
I mean, that goes into
let me show these workout videos so you can see my. You know what I'm saying? like that's what it be like now. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and I dig it. Like I post workout videos too, but like it's like really more so like catered towards motivating people, motivating my friends and stuff like that. Like I've been big into running, so I used to post my running statistics so that like I can get more people to run. And know what happened? People started running with me. Like Riz started running with me. We used to run every day. Shout out to Riz, my man. We used to run every day, like for like a whole year, like every day. My man Day, Razan Day.
I was one of the days. Dang, that's crazy, y'all. Dang, sure.
Yeah,
y'all definitely did. I ran into him. This is before the podcast too. I was just sitting out by one of the tracks that y'all run at, I was just sitting there just clearing my mind, and then I
You
see
seen
him come running up.
Yeah.
But it was definitely around the time
Yeah.
when y'all I would see y'all teaming up and doing
Yeah,
that.
like that's like I just did it to kind of like motivate folk. And me and him, we go back and forth every day. We might not text, but we'll like if he posts something, I'm like, all right, that's what's up, bro. Like if I post a video, he like, oh, keep it up. Like, and we're just going back and forth because my network isn't a bunch of people I don't know. Like my network is folks that I know and that I want to interact with, and I want them to interact with me.
Yes, sir.
And that's what social media should really be. Like you taking in negativity or even ideologies of folks that like you don't even know. Like, it's no reason for you to look at this girl who's shot up with all this stuff. Like it's that's gonna make your self-esteem if you're a young woman low. Or you don't need to see this guy that has all these Rolexes and he just be going on all these trips because yeah, you might aspire to have all that stuff, but you don't have it now. Like, what are you're 19 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
sir.
build something that's gonna last. And it's unfortunate that our kids and even our adults are just like trapped in that, mindset. So it's one of those things.
So a few of the points that you touched on kind of like makes me want to go back to our original conversation. So it makes me think about one of the episodes that I should have brought up in our original thing, but nonetheless, ignorance is bliss. So when you talk about just from the aspect of how people utilize social media, whether it's to show off this, let me show this, like that might be the reason. This is the reason why I'm going to buy this, is so I can show it off. So not even failing to realize that the lack of value. So you talked again, you talked about assets and liabilities, but no, I want to buy this thing to show it off. One of the things I spoke about in ignorance is bliss is just the title speaks for itself, is the ignorance, like the ignorant mentality, right? Ignorant meaning the lack of knowledge, right? But I think that financial literacy ties into that also. Again, like I said, not knowing the value of things. What's an asset? What's a liability? You know what I mean? And that's a lot of what I see. I see a lot of I see the list can go on, but the main thing is it comes from lack of self-value, number one, and value of your brother, your sister, and all that stuff, the people that surround you. But if you just want to generalize it without diving too deep into it, just the lack of self-value, just putting value in things that don't actually mean anything. You know what I'm saying? So
and it's not to bash people that
no, not at all.
It's
not
not
at
to
all.
bash people like there's certain models and people that actually utilize it for a proper purpose, but then it's like some people that just clout chase or they just do it for their own dopamine effect that they get from it, and it's just unfortunate, and it's like it's getting worse and worse.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of the effects that it has on our youth, because you briefly spoke on that when you said, like, if you're a 19-year-old kid and you're looking at this and you're saying, like, I want to. But if it's not happening that way for you, how do you begin to feel? How does that make you think about life?
So let me just give you an example. It's prom season, right?
Yes, sir.
We sitting in May 2023. So it's kids that driving Rolls Royce Phantom Wraiths, Cullinans, and stuff like that. They got prom dresses and shoes that I could only imagine how much it costs. But why? For one moment. And I understand, like, the prom is big, but for one moment, for the picture, the video, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. But it's like the prom shouldn't just be the ultimate pinnacle of your life.
Yes, sir.
Like I listened to a podcast, TRPE,
yes, okay,
and they're like, "Yo, the prom has replaced the wedding." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people should aspire to have the wedding so that you can have hundreds of people come and celebrate you. But the prom, the baby shower, and the gender reveal has like replaced it because folks don't value the marriage anymore. And that's part of the thing. Like, we're all instantaneous. We want to look good. We want to look good for the social media aspect of it. But it's like, where's that now? Like I said, the highlights, that's the best minute. That's the best minute of your day.
Yeah.
After you crop out all the nonsense, that's the best minute you can show with everybody. After you throw the filter on there, that's the best little fake picture of yourself you can throw on there. You know what I'm saying? So it's really like, it's really sad. And then with the kids, real quick, with the kids, it's like they feel like they have to live up to a standard before they're even available to do it or have the ability to do it. Like, think of it like you got kids that's walking around with Dickie sets and Balenciagas. Like, that don't even mix. You know what I'm saying? Like we used to wear Dickies with Timbs, like some beef and broccolis or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we go to Bennett's and go get a nice Dickie set and wear our Timbs with it. They going to get Timbs and wearing them with Balenciagas from Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus, wherever you get them. But it's like, why? Because they see this rapper. Or the girls, they like, oh, I want to get this weave that's down my tail or whatever, because I'm trying to look like Jada Waiter or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know who she is. I'm just saying names. Everybody heard. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I might be in the know. I don't even know. Or they want to look like such and such. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things. Like they want to look like the person because they see it and they get that information pumped into them all day. So it's like it's really sad.
So we what are some things that you think can come into effect or that we can, put into effect to help change that? Like, or do you think
TikTok? I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Somewhere they just banned it. Somewhere
it's banned. Well, China has a version of TikTok that's not as like corruptive as ours, but Iowa.
Okay, I was about to say somewhere they just banned it.
Shout out to the folks in Iowa.
Yeah, they
shout out to them.
Banned the TikTok.
The Hawkeye State. Shout out to them.
Yeah, so what is outside, like you said, okay, ban social media? Is that
that's not going? We're too far gone.
Yes, sir.
I would say from like an individual standpoint, like I'm guilty of it. Like I be on social media. I like TikTok. I actually do. TikTok is hilarious. Like it's funny, but we gotta like do a better job of monitoring ourselves and like governing ourselves. So that means instead of having social media be your entertainment value, find something else. And I don't want to push people to TV, but like go watch a program or go find a book or something like that, audio book. Since we're all auditory and learning and people want to learn that way and they don't want to pick up a book and read, like you can get information auditory. Like you can get a nice audio book or a podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of information and ideas that can be shared through untraditional platforms. So I mean that's one of those things. Like
it's like I said, it has its good things. It serves its, I don't want to say purpose, but it has its good reasons to be there. But some just like anything, too much of anything is not going to be good for you. You know what I mean? What else I got for you? So we talked about your coaching. Talked about your coaching career. We talked about the Ja Morant thing. Anything? Am I missing anything? Any topics? Any questions you got for me?
Nah, man. Good? Well, listen.
Yeah. What you got?
I want to go back to basketball.
Okay.
For you.
Yeah.
Because I remember you playing basketball back in the day. You was like an undersized small forward.
Yeah.
So who do you used to look up to when you played? When you hooped? Like who was your guy? Because you used to wear the headband like Bonzi Wells. I remember you used to wear the headband.
That's so funny that you asked that because I don't know. We talked about this. Me and Quan talked about this because I get into like bashing like AI and all that stuff, but I don't know who. I think I just was such a fan of the game
because you wasn't like freaky, like you know what I'm saying, but you had a nice game. You had a nice game. Like,
so I think that I don't know, bro. I really don't have an answer for you. Who I like personally. I think I was definitely an and one guy, so maybe I was into that a lot.
Yeah,
but as far as the game, this is what I think about our era of basketball as a youth. I mean, obviously we had Kobe, but I was a Kobe hater. Obviously we had, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Mamba.
We had AI, but I think that we were coming in. I'm a like today at my age of 36, I'm a LeBron James fan, right?
I got you.
And LeBron, I can shout out Eric Prentice.
Okay.
Shout
out to Eric.
Yeah, he introduced me to. We were in we were in the 10th grade at the time, and he introduced Carmelo Anthony to me. He said,
"I love Melo.
Who better? Who you think better, Melo or LeBron James?" And I'm just learning. LeBron is still in high school at this time. I'm like, LeBron. He said, "No, Carmelo Anthony. They beat them." You know what I'm saying? So this is before either one of those guys made it to the NBA.
Yeah.
But my point to you is, I think that our era of basketball was like on the cusp of a new era.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, granted, we had Ray Allen. When I think about when the Sixers went to the championship, the team it included, I think, having to beat the Celtics,
Raptors,
and was it Ray Allen? Was it them?
Ray Allen, Sam Cassell, Glenn Robinson, that team.
Yeah. So at that age, middle school, that was that was middle school for me. I don't think I had it. I think I just enjoyed the game so much. However the game was, I was a fan of it.
Okay.
So in terms of like how I model my game, I just I just love the game so much. So whether it was practicing, shooting the ball, I'll say I remember our game. We didn't have no plays. Our game, this what it was. It was get the rebound. Shout out to Riz back. They had it's so funny to see Riz.
Riz was a small ball forward.
That's what I'm saying.
They had Riz like he was like out there like I don't Kenny Thomas or something like that.
Yeah, so they had Riz. We had Rel. Shout out to Rel too. But our game plan was this. And for me as the guard, I wouldn't consider myself, like you say, the small forward. I wouldn't even consider myself a shooting guard. But I didn't make layups, but I could shoot the three. On a fast break, if I'll get a whole wide open layup and miss the layup. No, I'm going for the layup, but I'll miss it. But I can make the three. But the game plan was this: the big man get the rebound. Either pass the ball to me or pass it to Rudy. Rudy cherry picked the whole time. That's how we scored all our points. If they didn't throw the ball down to Rudy, they'd pass it to me. I throw the ball down to Rudy. That's how we scored all our points.
Rudy averaged 28 points. Shout out to Rudy. Shout out to Rudy. That's my man. Shout out Rudy.
Tapping the backboard, smacking the backboard.
Let me just smack the backboard.
Boom! Yeah. So, but to answer your question, I don't know, man. I think I just enjoy. I was just being a kid and just enjoying the game of basketball. But I mean, now it's LeBron James, man. It was Melo. Yeah. Again, shout out to E. He introduced me to Melo, so it made it. And E, and that's another one. Just shout out to E. Yeah. He was one of those guys that we were coming up against.
Freaky. He was nasty.
Yeah.
You ever play ball in my backyard?
Absolutely. He tried to dunk on me.
Yeah, he used to lower the Jones. I used to get the stick.
I ain't like it. He tried to dunk on me. He tried to end my career early, man. He said, you think you play ball? Nah, bro. Yeah. But
we had some classic battles in my backyard.
Yeah, I played there with y'all.
4th Street.
Shamar, shout out to Shamar.
Yeah. My guy.
But what brought me into being a LeBron James fan was, I mean, obviously him just being he's there. He's but it was the flack he began to get. When I saw like how they not so much before he left Cleveland, but when he went to Miami, he became the villain.
That was my favorite LeBron.
Yeah.
That was my favorite LeBron.
Jay-Z has a quote where he says, "Dark Knight feeling, die be the hero. Live long enough to see yourself become the villain." Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I'm so appalled.
Yes, sir. Okay, Kev, he got the bars on point.
Yeah.
So they lose that first year.
Yeah.
So whether it's the fans, I think that first year was when he hit us. Either it was the first or the second year when he actually did. But he hit us with like, I don't, y'all got to go back to your regular day-to-day lives, and I'm rich. He hit us with that joke, right? But just seeing because he had the expectations were there for him, and because he wasn't meeting the expectations, he began to get a lot of flack. And just seeing how he handled that, he made the proper adjustments, whether people agree with it or not. So I mean, for what it's worth, that's where he's from. He never left. He never left the town. You know what I mean?
He got a school there, open school there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's his. He never left the town. So he went to high school there, didn't go to college. Played the first 6, 7, 8 years there. You know what I mean? But once he started having those battles for real with Golden State, that's when I say, Brian, I'm like, I was pissed when they was losing to Golden State. I would be hot. But shout out to Brian. Shout out to I always give Melo heat.
Yeah.
I think that Melo could have done a lot more throughout his career, but nonetheless, he's definitely one of those players that I think about when you just talk about being younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was instrumental in the game of basketball to me, Melo, for sure. Yeah. Who would you say? Who were some of your guys coming up basketball wise? Like,
I mean, since I ain't make the team.
What are you asking me? NBA wise or like? Because I can name a couple of guys.
No, NBA wise. Okay. NBA wise, like,
I'm a big AI guy.
Yeah.
Kobe, Jordan.
Okay.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
I'm a Bron fan.
Yeah.
Melo for sure.
Yeah.
Dirk. Like I like Dirk.
Yeah. Dirk
but as far as like the new generation,
what you thinking?
I mean, before he started going not weird, but like he just started bouncing around teams. I used to like Russell Westbrook. I like.
Yeah.
I love the tenacity.
What happened with Russ, man? That's somebody that Quan takes personally. He likes to stick up for him. But what do you think happened with Russ?
I think Russ' game just hasn't evolved the way it needed to. Like he hasn't added that dead eye shot, and it's kind of like it's hurting him. You know what I'm saying? He can't be on the court in certain aspects. The Ben Simmons effect. Like he provide Russ off of energy gives you 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and good defense. But then it's like you need some points from you too. Like you can't. Now I'm about to get in my GM bag. You can't have this cap number and be requesting X amount of dollars. And you can't give us 25 points on a guarantee. Yeah, like we need that for our roster structure. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like one of those type of things. But I like Russ a lot. I like his tenacity. Like I feel like I didn't play basketball with a tenacity, but football I played with tenacity. I like players that have that kind of passion. You know what I'm saying? Like so, it's one of those things. Like I like that. I like that meanness.
Yeah, I like Russ. Russ never. I mean, obviously, you wanted to see it got to a point for like Russ and a lot of players. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that for KD. Even if you want to point out, I mean, for most superstars, you want to see them win. Yeah. It's like you might get the individual accolades, but it gets to a point where all right, well, let's win some games. But Russ, I like Russ. I was just a little confused about I seen him bounce around. He won the MVP.
Triple doubles.
Got paid, right? Yeah. Then they just started getting rid of him. Like that was crazy.
But you know what? Like sports, and it's unfortunate because we live in an instantaneous society. It's like people are so quick to wash away what you just did yesterday.
What have you done for me lately?
Like what they saying above the rim? They can't take away what we were. Yeah. They can't take away who we were. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't take away who you were. At the end of the day, if you did something great, it should be recognized. But folks are just instantaneous now, and it's just sad. And it's one of those things that's pushing legends away. You know what I'm saying? So
do you think that's what ultimately happened with Melo? Do you think it's the same thing?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I think Melo had a pride issue too. He didn't want to put his own ability aside. Like I love Melo. Like I just think like,
and that's why I talk about him the way I do, because
he could have extended his career like another, like in a good place.
Yes, sir.
Like, he went to Portland, did all right, but like it's just like you gotta get out your way. Just like AI, you gotta get out your way.
That's how you know I don't be lying. It's not personal, Quan.
Gotta get out your way. Shout out to Quan. Yeah, gotta get out your own way. You know what I'm saying?
I would say no. It's my same. I would say the same thing about Melo. I would say the same thing about AI. Got it. I mean, and I call because Quan defend these guys. even Ja. I said, listen, all you need is you just need a center and a power forward for your all bull crap team. They on all bull crap, man. So what you get? You need 2 more guys. But I would say the same thing about AI. AI got traded to that
Detroit. Got traded to Detroit.
Burnt me out. How you messed that up?
Yeah, got traded to Detroit. But Detroit was on. That wasn't even Detroit. That wasn't even like the good Detroit. They didn't trade him like when he was. You know what I mean,
right?
You know what I'm saying,
but still though. Yeah. This is still post Larry Brown, but still the DNA is different.
He got traded to the Nuggets first. And with Melo, then he got to Detroit. Yeah, he got traded. I thought that year with the Nuggets was gonna be all right.
I mean, he got that, but that's my point. Yeah, you had Melo and AI. They was on paper that was crazy, and that was prime Melo. So AI didn't really have to do. He didn't have to go as crazy as he was, in the past. He just had to find his way. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think definitely like I mean, people do it in regular life too. They get in their own way. Yeah. It's not just a sports thing. Absolutely. But it's we look at the sports. We look at these guys. We kind of look up to them in a kind of a sense. You know what I mean? We want them to be successful in all aspects. And then it's like when they aren't, it's a little disheartening, like you said. What else you got? You got anything else for us, guys?
Nah, I don't have anything. Like I said, currently what I'm working on, I got a project with the Gillian Fellows. Shout out to the Metropolitan Urban League of Wilmington.
Yes, sir.
We discussed that, a few minutes ago, and coaching Alden T-ball, just trying to be an everyman. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Improving myself each and every day. That's all I'm trying to do.
Okay, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for being patient with us, man. We had to come. We had to get set up.
No problem.
I had a few technical difficulties, but we're gonna work through. We're gonna get to that. And so I'll let you know. I said this on my last episode. So whenever we have guests on, I consider them young, black, and gifted alumni. So now, since we finally got a chance to sit down, you're an alum now. That means you can come back whenever.
You already know.
The invite, the door is open whenever. However you need to come back through, we need to sit down. So, again, we're still growing here, so I want you're a part of the building process of the YBG podcast. So I want to thank you, for just being a part of it, man. So we gonna get to a lot of things, man. And like I said, you were one. I just want to say this again. I want to add emphasis to this. When I first started, you were one of the first supporters, and even when I didn't know how or why or what I would bring you on for, but I knew that you were somebody that I wanted to bring on to the show, have it sit down, and we finally we talking about a year. I mean, it's been about a year now. I think the 28th would be a year. That would be a year from our first drop of our first episode. You know what I mean? So but the proof is in the pudding. I go back to our messages is there. Yeah. So I ain't just talking. It's there. So whenever I get a chance to like episodes like this, shout out to Riz Mac,
shout out to
Rel Jones, Sean Johnson, Coach
Shiz. What's up with you?
Those were even Devon Moore.
Shout out Devon. Yep.
Those are people that when I first started this thing, I reached out to, and you were amongst those people. So whenever I get a chance to finally put one of those things through, is always a great feeling. So again, thank you for having us. Thank you for coming on, and that's all I got, man. Shout out to Jazz for holding it down on the audio. You know what I mean? And that's all I got, man. We gonna get up out of here, man.
Appreciate it.
Underrated lady.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Underrated lady.
Young, black, and gifted, we do it for the culture. Every podcast we help bring our people closer. Tired of being underrated, you can ask Jazz. This beat got horsepower like it's polo on a tag. Aquan, let him know it's every Tuesday and Friday. He said it wasn't possible like Twista and Kanye. Renegon, I've been seen it happen like Sasuke. Love is stronger than pride, and it's the close to the side A. 12 midnight, I'm still smoking in the driveway. This ain't for the kids, go to Chucky for the child's play. We all gon' burn like Pompeii. Until then, you should grab your seat and come and tune in. What?